And trust me, it would be so much easier just to promote these home builders and help you buy them and encourage your way to home ownership. That would be doing you a disservice because there's so many issues that I am seeing that not a lot of people talk about. Here's a big detail that I think a lot of people are missing when they're looking at these new construction homes. Building codes vary by state, and Texas has literally the lowest barrier of entry for new construction homes when it comes to regulations, codes, permits, you name it. The barrier is extremely low here. Mix that with vast affordable land. It is a gold mine for these types of builders. So even if specific national builders build a better quality home in other major new construction markets like Phoenix, Atlanta, Las Vegas, it could be completely different here in Houston because the codes and regulations are completely different, and trust me, they are doing the bare minimum. Just this past weekend, I was showing homes to a client who, just like many of you, is really concerned about market conditions. So the first place we looked was a neighborhood or home that was built by an entry-level builder and developer about 5 years ago. The home was built in 2019. You guys, I'm not even kidding. This home looked at least 20 years old, and countertops were worn down, the walls were dirty, just everything looked cheap and run down, and it had only been there for 5 years. But the worst problem of it all is that this house had a mold issue, and it had been taken off the market to have the mold remediated. At least that's what they said. But while we were looking at the house, we were definitely still seeing evidence of mold, visible, apparent evidence of mold coming back. But that's not the worst of it. When we went outside, standing in the backyard, and you could see the two houses to the side of the house, you could clearly see that those houses also had a lot of exterior mold issues, which brought us to the conclusion that this isn't even just a single house issue. This might be a builder, an entire street or neighborhood issue. And let me be clear, this is not just a one-off issue. I see this all the time in resale homes of new construction that was built in the last 5 years. So this brings us to the next question. Why are so many houses like this, and why are they getting away with it? By the way, for those of you new here, my name is Danielle. I am a realtor in the Houston area, and I started this channel 4 years ago because I wanted to be voice, the friend, the expert on all the information I personally was missing when I moved here. My videos tend to be very raw and honest. They're not overly produced. I'm just trying to give you the answers I wish I would have had. All right, so let's talk about why they probably get away with this. During COVID, they saw an opportunity. You know, if you look at the timeline of events of the last 5 years, during COVID, they saw an opportunity. There was a housing demand, there was a housing shortage. They could buy affordable land here in Texas. They bought as much as they could. They built as fast as they could, and they sold those homes at inflated prices. A couple years later, when interest rates went up and buyer demand went down, instead of lowering the prices to stabilize the demand, all they did was keep raising the prices and adding incentives on it to lower your payment while still not hurting their bottom line. So they simply kept offering incentives while keeping the prices artificially high, while buyers unwillingly paid top dollar for probably not so great construction. My other issue is that it was just a temporary band-aid, especially when there was actually a housing shortage, because now 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to have a whole different problem with these houses. Because as I've already told you in the beginning of this video, just within 5 years, we're already seeing major issues with these houses, whether it is mold, HVAC, insulation, foundation issues. There's so many little things, not to mention just the quality in general is not the same. We're going to see a lot more lawsuits and problems with these houses, which is going to make it cost more for the homeowner than originally intended. Beyond that, then there's a bigger issue that I personally see, and that's the neighborhood value and the future demand. So I feel like a lot of developers have cut costs on the actual community planning and developing, which in the long term is going to make these homes not appreciate as well and not be as desirable as they once were pre-COVID. And the truth is that builders, especially the national home builders, will still keep figuring out ways to make it affordable with incentives or payments or material, smaller houses, whatever it is. They're going to keep finding ways to incentivize a buyer to come to them instead of your now existing home from them. So even if your home is only 5 years old, it's going to lose the appeal because this home builder is still going to be selling the same thing for cheaper than what you bought it for. What's even worse is the infrastructure issues we are experiencing in many parts of Houston. This is definitely something that is not talked about enough. So just like there's a low barrier of entry for a new construction builder to start building here, you have to think about the land they're building in was literally rural farmland just 5 to 7 years ago. These areas were not equipped for the amount of building and population increase that these areas are experiencing at such a rapid pace. And by doing that, there's many of our suburbs like Conroe and Fulshire that are struggling with utilities, whether it's clean water or being able to provide enough water to everybody. A lot of these new high production builders have a lot of drainage issues. They have a lot of utility issues. You know, it's not good when basic city services cannot keep up with the demand of the builders building their affordable crappy homes. The illusion of incentives. A lot of buyers get hooked on incentives and lower interest rates and lower payments, but let me make this clear. You are still paying market value, if not more. In many cases, you are still paying a higher premium price per square foot for the brand new construction than you would be an existing home, all just for a lower payment. And it's technically not actually a deal. You're really just shuffling money on where it goes every month. Builders are experts at making numbers look good. Even in a downturn market right now, they're still trying to manipulate the numbers to look good. So really, at the end of the day, you're not getting anything for free from them. Now, these are just a few of the negative things or the other side of things that are not discussed on YouTube or when you're touring the model homes. Now, I'm not saying that this happens with every single builder. I'm just saying these are the things you definitely have to look for and do more research in to make sure that you're making a good decision. All right, so I don't want to just complain about affordable national home builders. I do want to try to give you real solutions, or at least what I personally would do if I were looking for a affordable home here in Houston. Number one is I would look at existing homes, and I know it is frustrating because I could make a whole other video about seller frustrations because a lot of sellers are listing their outdated home that needs a lot of work at an inflated top dollar price. But if you can get past that and negotiate a good deal, then you have to remember that there's more than just the house you're buying. A lot of these existing areas already have established infrastructure. They're closer to commercial amenities. The schools are more established. They're closer to freeway access. They're more growing. The appreciation rates are more stable. You're not immediately competing with builders if you need to sell. But those things alone will help your home value stay stable much longer. Number two, if you are dead set on new construction and your budget is under $300,000, I would be very, very selective. Not all builders and communities are equal. Like I said, we have national home builders, we have Texas local builders, we have mega master plan communities, and each one comes with their pros and cons. But it is really important to work with an expert of this area that can explain the pros and cons of each and point you in the right direction to make the best investment possible. Seriously, don't just go with whoever's offering the best incentives, because that alone, if the only thing they have to offer is money, is a red flag. So yes, Houston does have affordable homes in many of these suburbs, but you have to be extremely selective on what is included with that affordable home because often they are cheaply, poorly built, issues with appreciation and holding value just within a few years of buying. So please be extremely selective, especially in a downturn market like we are in now. Even if you buy in the next 1 to 2 years, there's a good possibility you're going to lose money at first. Finally, to a point where when you buy, it's going to take several years to get that money back. So make sure you are making a good decision. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe as it helps the algorithm know that this is good information. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.